Welcome back to Flashpoint. This week, early voting set to restart ahead of a local primary election here in North Carolina. And this election will be one of the first times voters will have to show a form of ID in order to vote at the polls. It's a process that's been years in the making. Joining us now is the Director of Elections here in Mecklenburg County, Michael Dickerson. Mr. Dickerson, welcome back to Flashpoint.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm fantastic. You're a busy man, I know. You got a primary and election coming up. One of the big new things here is the fact that once again we are required to show IDs when we vote. There was a brief time back in 2016, 2017 we had to do it, and then of course a court repealed that ruling, so now we're back at it. So remind folks what they've got to do when they come vote.
Exactly. This year, the requirement is that you show a photo ID. It's not a voter ID, it's a photo ID. So we're looking for a reasonable resemblance of the person who is standing before me to vote. So this year, bring your driver's license with you, or bring your passport, or bring your federal ID. If you're a student, most of the campuses around the county have been approved as student IDs. So for like Johnson C. Smith, UNC Charlotte, Queens, Davidson, all of those have that ability to use that as a photo ID for voting. Or if you haven't had a chance to, if you don't have one of those, you're welcome to come down to our office and we'll make you a photo ID for voting purposes. So bring that. Now, if you fail to bring that or don't have a photo ID, I will still vote you. All voters will be allowed to vote with or without a photo ID. If you don't have a photo ID, they're going to make you vote a provisional, and you have to give us a reason why you don't have that ID. But don't let anything stop you. Get out on September 12th for our first primary here, and go ahead and vote.
I want to repeat that. So everyone is allowed to vote.
Correct.
So if you go, you should be allowed to vote. There should not be an issue with you voting. However, if you don't have an ID, there might be some follow-up questions.
There will be a provisional process to do that. You're exactly right. So it's a little confusing, but I want to make sure I get everybody voting. That's my job, is to take care of the voters of Mecklenburg County. So don't let anything stop you. Get out and vote.
And you touched on this, but student IDs will work when we're talking about some of the local colleges.
Correct. Correct. UNC Charlotte, all the schools here, their photo IDs that they are issued will work as an ID available for voting. Your driver's license. You know, it's funny, we've been making photo IDs down here for about the last 3 or 4 weeks at the Board of Elections office. People will literally drive up in their car and get out of the driver's side and come in and say, I want a photo ID for voting. They already have one. If they realize that, they drove down, they've got a North Carolina driver's license, they're welcome to just show that. That works perfectly. All we're doing is looking at the picture. We're not verifying an address on a driver's license. We're just looking at the picture to make sure that that is a reasonable resemblance to the person that is standing in front of us.
Do you expect this will affect voter turnout?
It did not, like you referenced at the very beginning, it did not affect it then. I think we ended up with maybe 15 or 20 provisionals from the earlier election that we had about 4 or 5 years ago, where we had to, they didn't have a photo ID, so we had to do something with that. A few years back, I think our state board of elections, at the time when this all started back in 17, a few years back, they ran a comparison of how many people in the DMV database were also in our North Carolina voter registration database, and the number was something like 96, 97%. So I think most people will have that photo ID with them as a driver's license, a North Carolina driver's license. But like I said, I think they really want to make sure that we don't have anybody turned away. We want to make sure that we can get those folks voting.
Behind the scenes, does this mean any extra work for you and your staff?
Oh, sure it does. Sure it does. But we're paid to do this. We'll have to review extra provisionals. The whole process of making IDs, that's new to us here at our office. So a lot of work goes into it. The training process for our precinct officials has been updated and revised to reflect how we do a photo ID. A lot of work goes in on the back end, but we're confident that our people can handle this.
Michael Dickerson, you and I have been having this chat now going back 16, 17 years, something like that, and you've been doing the job for a lot longer than that. Thanks for what you do, and thanks for coming on and chatting with us.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Ben.
All right, take care. More Flashpoint after this.